Breaking right now on Morning News Now, shock and sadness in Las Vegas after a mass shooting on the UNLV campus. This morning, at least 3 people and the suspected gunman are dead.
This is a place of education, relationships, friendships. College is supposed to be the best time of your life, not the end of it.
We have team coverage with the latest from police and witnesses. Also this morning, more chaos on Capitol Hill as ousted House Speaker Kevin McCarthy announces he's leaving Congress. More on his resignation plus reaction and how the departure could impact the balance of power in Washington. Plus parts of the West Coast underwater as a series of storms makes its way east. And it's not over yet. We're tracking the conditions. And look what you made her do. That's right. Love it or hate it, superstar Taylor Swift is making headlines again as Time's Person of the Year, giving a rare, candid interview, her first in nearly 4 years. We'll have Taylor's version of her life, career, and her budding love story with Travis Kelce.
And her cat.
Yeah, her cat, one of the covers. Oh, my God, what a read. It was very fun to get that interview.
Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for joining us. So there's a search for answers this morning after a gunman went on a deadly rampage on the campus of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
The shooting left 3 people dead and another person is in critical condition. The gunman was killed in a shootout with police officers. Police say the shooting started just before noon on the 4th floor of the university's Lee Business School, and the gunman went to several floors before he was confronted by police. During the incident, the university sent out a warning to the campus telling them this is not a test, run, hide, fight. We spoke to English professor Roberto Lovato while he was on lockdown.
We heard the clips of semi-automatic weapons just going for what felt like about 30 seconds. It was a very, very disturbing thing to hear.
3 law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation tell NBC News that the suspect is a man in his 60s. No other details have been released about the suspect or a possible motive. We're going to speak with a student who was in class on campus when the shooting happened. We will get to that in just a moment. But first, let's get to the latest in the investigation. NBC News correspondent Jay Gray and NBC News terrorism contributor and analyst Jim Kavanaugh join us with more on that. Jay, let's start with you. What's the latest on the investigation this morning?
Yeah, Joe, it is continuing. A lot of the campus still locked down. The business school just behind the student union, which was packed yesterday just around lunchtime when all of this broke out. We know that they are searching for evidence here, but also carried out a search warrant at a residence in Henderson, Nevada, which is just 20 or 30 minutes outside of Las Vegas, a suburb. So they went through an apartment there. No indication of what's been found at this point, and still no indication from investigators about any type of motive in the case. That's something they're working toward, and we expect to hear more a bit later in the day here in Las Vegas. You talked about that urgent message sent out by the university as the attack unfolded. Run, hide, fight. We talked with students who did just that and with parents who gathered outside the school as word spread about the attack. Listen to what they had to say.
We were really nervous, so we barricaded all up and I started watching the windows with a couple other kids to just see what we could see, and we saw students running out in single file lines with their hands up.
She was crying, she was hysterical, saying she heard the gunshot, she heard the screaming. I'm relieved that she is okay.
Yeah, and look, obviously it's been less than 24 hours, Joe, Savannah. Still a lot of people rattled and stunned at what's happened on the campus here.
Jim, let's bring you in here. So as Joe just laid out, the only real detail that NBC News has confirmed in the investigation is that the suspect is a man in his 60s, but authorities have not released details about identity other than that or a motive at all. Walk us through what's happening right now in an investigation like this. What steps are authorities taking in order to try to get that information, and when might we know it?
Well, we start hearing some of that today. You know, what Jay reported on here, the swift search of the suspect's apartment in Henderson. They're going to swipe through his computers, his laptops, his iPads and iPhones and see if he left any message. You know, they quickly identified the guy. Probably, you know, the easiest way we always did it was, you know, go right for the guy's wallet. Don't hold the thing like a big crime scene for hours. Just, you know, as long as he doesn't have a bomb strapped to him, you determine he's safe. Get his wallet out and see who he is. And if he has one, and many times they do, and you go right to his address and safely search. So they'll have some answers today. I think that's important to note here, Joe and Savannah, is that the shooting began on the 4th floor of this business college. The 4th floor of the business college was where it began, according to the sheriff yesterday. So there's a reason the killer is there. They didn't start shooting at a crowd, out on the quad, out on the grassy area out front, which was populated with students. He probably walked past them into the building. So why did he go to the particular place? Motive can sometimes be indicated by the target, the place, the time. So I think that's going to tell us something, that he had a specific target. We look at the motives of violent crime just quickly: greed, power, hate, revenge, and escape as the giant rubrics in all violent crime. This is probably going to get down to some kind of revenge or power for this killer.
Hopefully learn more as the day progresses. Jay, students were preparing to close out the semester ahead of their winter break. They were allowed to go back to their housing last night, but classes are canceled today. They're canceled tomorrow. What are some of the resources available while they wait to hear if classes are even going to resume next week as they try to wrap up the semester?
Yeah, and Joe, counselors are being made available for those students as well as faculty and staff, anyone who feels like they need to talk following the attack yesterday. And I can tell you a lot of the students that we spoke with just after the attack said they didn't want to be anywhere near the campus, that they didn't want to go back. And so that's a sentiment that they'll have to work through. You talked about classes being canceled for the remainder of this week. What university officials are now saying is that they'll decide about next week in the next couple of days. Next week was to be finals week, where they'd take their final exams and then be off for that winter break. Still unclear at this point how they're going to move forward.
All right. Jay Gray, Jim Kavanaugh, thank you both for kicking us off this hour on this breaking story. We appreciate it.
Yes, we do. Well, Dominic Abella is a junior at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. He was in a microbiology lab in an adjacent building yesterday when the shooting happened. Thank you very much for joining us. Good morning. We are so glad you are safe. First, just tell us, how are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm very obviously still rattled and shaken by the events that occurred, but I'm just very happy that I'm able to be safe and at home with my family.
I understand you were in the middle of class. You were giving a presentation when the shooting happened at the business school. You were not at that building. You were a few minutes away. But what was going through your mind when you heard there was an active shooter on campus?
Well, like you said, I was in the middle of my presentation. So at first, when the first alert was given, it was around like 11:50. At first, the whole classroom was in shock and didn't really know what to do. But once we figured out that it was at Beam Hall, we knew that we were quite far from the incident, and that our campus police is quite quick when it comes to any incident that occurs on campus. So we had a plan in place to either leave the building if need be, or to just stay in place, and we ended up staying in place. So we had we were all just very, very worried and scared. A lot of us were on the phone already with friends and peers who were at the scene and trying to figure out who was hurt, or, our friends, if they needed help or anything like that. So everyone was pretty scared, but just trying to stay as calm as possible.
So you mentioned you stay in place. As we understand it, you were on lockdown in your classroom for about 4 hours before given that all clear to leave. Tell us what you experienced during those 4 hours. What kinds of things were you hearing? What kind of information were you getting? How was everybody that you were kind of huddled with reacting?
Well, for the most part, everyone was staying pretty calm. We were trying our best not to panic and keep each other level-headed. But obviously in that situation, there is so many different things going on. We were getting information from friends and peers and different news sources, and we were just trying to make sense of what was going on. We had no idea about the magnitude of the shooting that took place. We were just trying to find any information we can on what had happened, and we were just so scared, and every second felt like an hour. We were just waiting for communication from campus police to let us know what was going on. And like I said, every second that ticked by was very painful, and we were just all hoping that we will be able to go home and see our families.
Dominic, do you feel safe to return to class next week?
I think that I do feel safe because the swift response from campus police and also Metro make me I do feel safe coming to campus because they did handle the situation very quickly, but it is going to take some time to heal from this. And I don't know if it's going to take a week. I think it might take more than that to get situated back on campus. But I think going back to campus next semester is definitely going to be a hard time for all of us.
Understandably so. Dominic, Abella, stay safe. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We are thinking about you and all your classmates during this time.
Thank you.
Now to Washington, where former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he is resigning from Congress at the end of the month. He made the announcement in an op-ed piece published Wednesday in the Wall Street Journal.
McCarthy, who's been in Congress since 2007, was elected House Speaker in January after facing stiff opposition from fellow Republicans. He was ousted from the role in October, as you'll remember. In a video posted on X, McCarthy discussed his decision to step down, but did not say what he's planning to do next.
Today, I am driven by the same purpose that I felt when I arrived in Congress. But now, it is time to pursue my passion in a new arena.
More on this, let's bring in NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin. So, Julie, what more can you tell us about his decision to step down? And what does this do to Republicans' thin margin in the House, which might get even smaller after George Santos was expelled?
Yeah, exactly. Good morning, guys. Look, McCarthy didn't really give a clear reason as to why he was leaving Congress, not even finishing his current term, which he was elected to last year, leaving instead at the end of the month. He said he's not going anywhere far. He's going to stay in the arena. He said he's going to keep serving the American people in a different capacity. But it's not all that surprising that he ended up leaving. To those of us who have covered the twists and turns, particularly of McCarthy's last year. He was elected Speaker after 15-some ballots in January. He was ousted by a handful of rebel rousers who he still hadn't seemed to get over what happened to him. And I think he's come to the point where he realized that because of the hard right flank, because of the MAGA populist wing, if you will, of the Republican Party in the House, he doesn't really have much else to do, especially when it comes to being in leadership. And of course, this is going to make the margins that much tighter. They're going to be working with about a 3-vote majority come January, and there's a lot to pass on the agenda, and every vote is going to count to Speaker Johnson.
Julie, let's talk about what else is happening on Capitol Hill. So we know 2 senators have launched a bipartisan investigation into private equity firms' involvement in health care across the U.S. Walk us through this, and how significant is it?
And this is a big deal. There are some estimates that over the last decade, private equity's involvement in buying up hospitals, nursing homes, you name it, has really saddled the industry with $1 trillion in debt overall. So now you have these 2 senators. You see letters up on your screen, Chuck Grassley and Sheldon Whitehouse. They are the top lawmakers on the Senate Budget Committee. They've sent letters to several private equity firms that are known to have purchased hospitals and nursing homes. And the real problem here is that according to the senator's investigation and what they want answered here, these equity firms have said to buy these companies, they saddle them with the debt, then they slash costs to appeal to future potential buyers. And that, of course, is causing issues when it comes to the quality of care that patients receive. Also, when it comes to rising costs, not only for patients, but also for payers like Medicare. So this is an investigation initially spearheaded by Grassley. Now he has a bipartisan partner, and they're hoping to get some answers when it comes to this.
All right, Julie Sirkin, thank you so much.
Well, this morning, Israel's military says it is now in the heart of southern Gaza's main city, Han Yunis. They're encircling the home of the top Hamas leader, who's thought to be hiding underground. Many Palestinian civilians are trying to flee the fighting, but residents and aid groups have warned there is nowhere safe to go. Meanwhile, the Israeli Security Cabinet approved a minimal increase in supplies of much-needed fuel to Gaza to prevent a humanitarian collapse. But this morning, the main UN agency for Palestinians said that the conditions required to provide aid to the Gaza Strip do not exist. NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez has the latest from Tel Aviv.
The Israeli government has agreed to allow what it's calling a minimum amount of fuel into southern Gaza for humanitarian purposes. That decision coming after a lot of pressure from both the White House and the United Nations on Israel to do more to address what is an unfolding humanitarian catastrophe all across the south of Gaza. The Secretary General of the UN is invoking what's called Article 99. This is a rarely used power of his that allows him to refer to the urgent attention of the UN Security Council, the crisis going on in Gaza right now. He says it is a threat to international security, and the UN has been using words like apocalyptic, like hellish, to describe what is going on in Gaza right now. We have a dynamic where most of the population of the Strip is concentrated in the south. These are people who fled their homes in the north. And at the same time, some of the most intensive fighting we have seen in this entire war is happening in and around the southern city of Khan Yunis. Now, the Israeli military says that is because that is where Hamas's leaders have fled to. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying overnight Israeli troops have surrounded the house of Yahya Sinwar, the Hamas leader in Gaza. He fled that house weeks ago. They believe he is in the tunnels underneath the Gaza Strip now. But it is a sign that Israel says they are able to operate in every corner of Gaza. For the Palestinian civilians, hundreds of thousands of them in and around Khan Yunis, they are facing a devastating choice. Do they flee even further south, try to get to safety down near the Egyptian border, or do they stay in their homes so they risk being encircled by Israeli forces? I spoke yesterday to a man named Mohammed. He's a Palestinian British scientist. He is in a 3-bedroom apartment along with 30 members of his family. He says they are talking hour by hour about what they should do, but they feel at this point that going south would be a dangerous leap into the unknown. They don't know if they would have shelter. They don't know if they'd have water. They don't know if they would have food. And so for now, they are deciding to stay in their homes. Here in Israel, there is mounting frustration among the families of the remaining 137 hostages who feel that the government needs to do more and needs to do it faster to bring their loved ones home. Back to you.
All right, Ralph Sanchez, thank you so much.
The Justice Department has charged 4 Russian soldiers with war crimes in connection to the Ukraine conflict. The soldiers have been charged with the inhumane treatment of an American who happened to be living in Ukraine and was kidnapped. The alleged victim has not been identified. Yesterday, Attorney General Merrick Garland detailed the allegations.
The victim in this case was tortured, threatened with sexual assault and execution, forced to perform manual labor, and beaten in the head, chest, and stomach with the soldiers' feet, their fists, and their guns. Again and again, he believed he was going to die. The Justice Department and the American people have a long memory. We will not forget the atrocities in Ukraine.
This is the first time the Justice Department has brought war crimes in connection with the war in Ukraine, and Garland says it likely won't be the last.
Well, the U.S. military is grounding all of its Osprey helicopters after 8 U.S. airmen were killed in a crash off the coast of Japan.
A preliminary investigation suggests that last week's crash might have been caused by a material failure with the aircraft. The Osprey has a troubled history with more than 60 people killed in accidents since the early 1990s. The Air Force says its entire fleet, which includes several hundred aircraft, will remain grounded until it completes the investigation into what happened. No word on how long that might take.
Time now for weather and the deadly flooding that's plaguing the Pacific Northwest after nearly a week of non-stop rain.
Meteorologist Angie Lassman joins us with the latest on that. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Most of those flood alerts, good news, have come down, but we still have the potential to see more flooding concerns through the day today as another system makes its way a little closer to the coast for folks in the Pacific Northwest. We've got the rain and snow on tap, middle of the country, record warm, but it's really out west that we're keeping a close eye on the impacts that we could see through the next couple of days. This morning, we're watching watching a low-pressure system that's sitting just offshore. It'll eventually work its way a little closer to the coast and bring with it, no surprise, a little more rain and potentially some more snow. Now, the difference with this system versus the one that we just dealt with, the first one was more robust. It was a little stronger. It was a little warmer, so it was mainly a rain event other than those higher elevations that picked up some snow. This system a little weaker and will be a little colder. So we'll add some additional rain. We'll add some additional snow, but again, not quite as strong as the one we just dealt with over the past couple of days. Now, as we get into tomorrow, that low will continue working across the country, kind of redevelops as it gets east of the Rockies. This makes a big difference because look what happens by the time we get into Saturday. We see a line of storms that will just erupt as it continues to work its way a little farther east along that cold front. This means some heavy rain. It means a potential for some strong storms, specifically across parts of the South. Lufkin, Shreveport, Jackson, Little Rock, Tupelo, all included in the potential to see some strong storms later into the day. For the afternoon hours and evening hours of Saturday, tornadoes are possible, some strong wind gusts, hail, all on the table for that second half of Saturday. Now, Sunday, it looks like a mess across the eastern third of the country. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some airport delays. We see some difficulty on the roads with driving. We've got a wintry mix that will be impactful, especially for parts of, the Ohio Valley, around the Great Lakes, and a whole lot of rain that we could see a little closer to the East Coast and stretching down towards the southeast. We'll see a flood risk from Florida basically to New England, and we could see some strong winds with this system, especially along the coast where we could be upwards of 50 miles per hour. Now, Monday gets a little better for the mid-Atlantic to the southeast, guys, but we'll still have some of that rain and those strong winds stretched across parts of the Northeast and New England. We could pick up some good amounts of snow depending on how quickly that system works out.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have a white Christmas somewhere.
I knew you'd find the bright side.
Looking for the bright side. All right.
Thanks, Angie.
Much more to come here on Morning News. Now, later this hour, relief for students as the Biden administration cancels billions more dollars in federal loans. What borrowers need to know.
First, though, after the break, 4 presidential contenders going head-to-head, and it could be their last chance to win over voters. We'll bring you highlights from last night's Republican presidential debate. We're back with a recap of last night's 4th Republican presidential debate. The stage was smaller, with only 4 of the 5 candidates in attendance. Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy. Former President Donald Trump was not present.
Those 4 contenders were asked a range of questions on a variety of topics, from immigration and foreign policy to gender-affirming care. But they spent much of their airtime engaging in heated exchanges with each other. The Iowa caucus is now just 6 weeks away. These candidates are running out of time in efforts to make a dent in the polls against Trump.
NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale joins us now with more on what we need to know about last night's debate. Hey, Ali, good morning. Let's start with Nikki Haley. Both Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy took swipes at Haley throughout the debate. First, I want to play a little bit of those remarks. We'll talk after.
You have other candidates up here like Nikki Haley. She caves anytime the left comes after her, anytime the media comes after her. If you're somebody that's going to be the president of the United States and you can't stand up against child abuse, how are you going to be able to stand up for anything?
Nikki, you were bankrupt when you left the UN. That math does not add up. It adds up to the fact that you are corrupt. And she should come nowhere near the levers of power, let alone the White House.
I love all the attention, fellas.
That last line, love all the attention, fellas. All right, Ali, tell us, did Haley emerge as the second-place competitor in the race for the White House last night? And how did she compare to DeSantis, who has seemingly been Trump's top rival so far in the GOP race, though recent polling has had them pretty neck and neck?
Well, there's a reason that Ron DeSantis spent so much time going after Nikki Haley last night, and that's exactly what the Haley campaign told me they expected at the outset. Of course, usually at this point in the race, Savannah, when the stage gets smaller, you get a chance to really get a hard look at the front runners. Usually they get more scrutiny. Certainly, that's what happened on the stage last night, except for the reality that Governor Chris Christie reminded us of at the very beginning, which is that here on Earth A, Donald Trump is still in the race, and he's still 30 or 40 points ahead, depending on which polls you're looking at. So, yes, in the case of whoever was on the stage got the front-runner treatment, yes, Nikki Haley got the front-runner treatment because she is polling at the head of the pack and clearly has the momentum, both in terms of polls and ground game, but also in terms of where donor money might be going. But in actuality, no one on that stage is the front runner right now because Donald Trump isn't on it.
Another Earth A question for you, Allie. Chris Christie barely qualified for the debate stage last night. We try to live in it as much as possible. So Chris Christie, but he was still, again, the only one who took aim at former President Trump. He also came to Haley's defense. What's the reaction to his performance? Can he stay in the campaign until Iowa, especially considering he is facing some pressure to drop out and support Haley?
Well, look, I have the benefit because these quarters are so close that Governor Christie just finished his live shot next to me, and I heard him saying that he's going to be staying in this race until at least New Hampshire because that's really where he's concentrated so much of his resources and, frankly, his time. But when you look at the way that the stage was changed because Christie was on it, and remember, this is a candidate who barely qualified at the last minute, got on the stage because of a last-minute poll. He really did change the dynamic up there, in large part because of the ways that he is the only candidate left in this race and on the debate stage who's willing to go at the former president directly. And he would explain that, and did on the stage last night, as the reality that he's running now and someone like Haley or DeSantis is trying to prepare themselves for a run later in a post-Trump environment. Whatever the case may be, Christie is the only person who was on that stage last night willing to speak about the fact that he thinks that Trump is unfit for office, in part because of the things that we saw during the time he was president, but also because of comments that we've seen in just the last 48 hours. Trump clearly toying with the idea of being a dictator as if it's somewhat of a joke or something in a positive fashion. Clearly, that's something that in any normal primary, most of his opponents would take issue with. But in this one, only one did.
And Chris Christie, though, did also point out that Trump remains well ahead of all four candidates in the national polls. Let's play a little bit of that.
We're 17 minutes into this debate, and except for your little speech in the beginning, we've had these three acting as if the race is between the four of us. The fifth guy, who doesn't have the guts to show up and stand here, he's the one who, as you just put it, is way ahead in the polls. And yet, I've got these three guys who are all seemingly to compete with, Voldemort, he who shall not be named. They don't want to talk about it. But the fact of the matter is the truth needs to be told. And for us to go 17 minutes without discussing the guy who has all those gaudy numbers you talked about is ridiculous.
What do you make, Ali, both of his analysis, but also his decision to take that approach and address it head on, and then also about Trump's strategy to not attend these debates? What do we think? Is it working?
I think that strategy looks pretty good, frankly. I mean, it's difficult to say that it serves voters, but I think at this point, too, voters know who Donald Trump is. Those who are voting for him are not going to have their mind changed by one debate appearance or not. And clearly, he looks like he's skating above the fray right now, which might be working for him. Clearly, if you look at the polls, it is. What Christie is saying on the stage, though, is the very reason that he got in the race. And so I think that it does provide at least a range of opinions on the stage. Whether or not Republican voters want to hear it, that's what ends up being reflected in the polls. But I do think what was fascinating last night, if you're looking at the ways that this could change the trajectory, I have a hard time thinking that debates at this point change things in a huge way. But clearly for Ron DeSantis, he was able to at least show up on the stage and sort of stop the bleeding, because there has been a lot of behind-the-scenes drama in that campaign. And for Nikki Haley, she was really playing defense the whole night and wasn't able to get into her normal groove of pitching her message.
Ali Vitale, thank you for your analysis here. We appreciate it.
Former President Trump's New York civil fraud trial is set to resume today, briefly pausing yesterday after his son Eric decided not to take the stand again.
Donald Trump is expected to be in attendance today ahead of his testimony on Monday as the star witness for the defense, with the trial winding down soon after.
NBC News legal analyst Annie Savalas joins us now. So get us up to speed here. We expect to hear from an NYU accounting expert. What are you watching for today?
The Trump defense has not done a bad job in putting on their case. For example, they've already called Deutsche Bank executives to say, yeah, I mean, the Trump people submitted us this stuff. We wrote it down a little bit. Their estimations were a little high, but on the whole, it was business as usual. That's pretty important. And remember, Justice Engoron, the judge in this case, is acting as the jury. He is the fact finder. So he may be changing his mind along the way. It is really strange, and I've done a number of bench trials where you just argue to a judge. It's a weighty position. As the trial goes on, he may be shifting in his opinion. And so the Trump team has put on competent expert evidence in addition to, I guess, eyewitness evidence, which is, hey, we're the people from Deutsche Bank. we thought this was pretty normal. And we went down there and we adjusted the numbers. And now you're going to have an accounting expert to back that up with expert testimony. So they're putting on a yeoman's case. The splashy part of it is when the Trumps testify. And yes, they add something to it. But on the whole, the meat and potatoes of this case for the Trump team is people like Deutsche Bank and expert testimony. That's key.
As we mentioned, Trump is expected to take the stand on Monday as the final defense witness. When we saw him last month, it got pretty hostile, pretty combative. What do you think we might see this time? What type of kind of version of the former president might we get? And what do you think his lawyers are advising him to do? I'm
curious to see how much substantive evidence they're going to get from Trump, other than him saying, hey, I didn't do anything wrong. These were the numbers. I wasn't really directly involved in it. I relied on my accountants. Somewhere along that theme, which has been consistent with the entire approach for the Trump defense team. But will there be fireworks? Absolutely. I think Trump views this as his last opportunity in a very public forum that he knows will get reported on to push the envelope, and push it he will. And in a way, Trump is more protected when he's on the stand than when he's out on the street tweeting, because when you testify, the rules of defamation don't really apply the way they do when you're out on the street. You have a kind of privilege when you're testifying in court. So look for Trump to be aware of that and to push the envelope.
All right, Danny, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's get to international headlines now. Venezuela's president is ordering the creation of a new map with a new state.
NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Labonga joins us from Rome with that and other world news. Claudio, good morning.
Joe Savannah, good morning. That's right. The president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, has ordered the creation of a new state of Guyana Esequiba and called for the creation of a new map of Venezuela, which includes the disputed territory. He also said that all residents in that territory will be granted Venezuelan nationality. The area is about 2/3 of Guyana's national territory and is densely forested and oil-rich. Guyanese President Irfan Ali called the move a desperate attempt and an imminent threat, and said that they are engaging with international allies in defense cooperation. Now over to the UK, where Boris Johnson was heckled during the United Kingdom's public COVID inquiry. The inquiry is examining Johnson's decision-making during the COVID-19 pandemic while he was still Prime Minister. During his opening statement containing an apology, 4 people stood with signs reading, "The dead can't hear your apologies," and were then ejected from the hearing. Despite this apology, Johnson went on to defend his actions during the pandemic. And now heading down under, the world's mullet champion has been crowned. Dr. Alistair Bush was handed his trophy at a contest held in New South Wales, Australia. The British Army doctor said he started growing his mullet in lockdown in October 2021. He also used his campaign to victory to raise funds and awareness for the charity Testicular Cancer UK. Back to you guys.
World
Good
mullet champion.
We need more side shots.
Who knew?
To really see the flow.
You could go for that.
The flow. I'm from Minnesota. I've seen plenty of hockey hair in my life, and I just don't think it's going to work for me. Thanks, Claudia. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Coming up, a growing crisis in Chicago after a multi-million-dollar plan to house immigrants falls through.
More on the scramble to come up with an alternative. This is Morning News Now.
Welcome back. Asylum seekers in Chicago are being caught in the crosshairs as city and state leaders are pitted against each other regarding the migrant crisis. A multi-million-dollar tent camp intended to house thousands of migrants scrapped after toxic chemicals were found on site. Now the race to figure out who can house them instead is on. NBC News correspondent Maura Barrett has the latest.
In Chicago, the migrant crisis taking on new urgency as frigid winter temperatures move in and hundreds of people remain out on the streets.
We need to, move as quickly as we can.
A major setback, plans to open a $65 million tent camp that would house nearly 2,000 migrants near Chicago's Midway Airport, halted by the governor over serious environmental concerns.
It is toxic. And now can we sit down and actually talk about what we can do that's humane? This is a concentration camp.
The reversal coming after the city released an environmental report over the weekend indicating the Brighton Park site would require a cleanup of toxic chemicals and heavy metals, as the 9.5-acre plot formerly housed industrial work. Mercury, arsenic, and lead, along with cyanide, pesticides, and the now banned cancer-causing compounds known as PCBs, were found on site. City officials saying the most problematic levels of contamination were removed and still deemed the location safe for migrants.
Discovering toxicity there wasn't a surprise. The state of Illinois knew that this assessment was happening and felt confident enough to continue to build on this site.
Friction between the mayor and governor's offices on full display as nearly 600 migrants await placement in shelters, according to the city. The mayor's office writing it's received clear signals from Texas officials that the number of buses will continue to increase, so the urgency of the moment remains.
We say no!
The proposed site facing opposition from residents in the community from the start, as state and city officials struggle to house the influx of migrants.
With 80 buses of migrants arriving in just the last month, the need for shelters like this is massive. An alliance with faith-based organizations like Grace and Peace Church is filling that gap.
También nos dan dotaciones de ropa y eso para estar preparados para el invierno.
What's the realistic capacity for churches that are part of this initiative without those bigger shelters?
Well, let me tell you something. There's more than 100 churches in the city of Chicago. The church is really the gatekeepers of the city. If we get the church involved in many areas, we can relieve some of the stress that the city is dealing with.
Pastor John Zayas is coordinating shelter for around 200 migrants across his 8 sites.
It's hard because we have this water hose that's constantly coming with migrants. But there are people on the ground giving tireless hours to serve this city and to serve the people in our community.
He says they've developed a plan with the city to get migrants housed and employed in 60 days.
There's continual flexibility of folks rotating in. There's also folks that have received their work permits. And so we're just lining folks up into the system of, housing and working as we move along.
Bueno, fue un proceso largo, costoso, muchos inconvenientes, no es fácil.
Uncertainty rising as the temperatures here only continue to drop.
That was Maura Barrett reporting. Well, the city of Chicago says the city's plan for feeding asylum seekers fell through, but the state stepped in with $2 million in additional funding.
An NBC News investigation is looking into shootings involving federal task force officers and why they're rarely prosecuted. NBC News correspondent Blaine Alexander takes a closer look.
Jimmy Hill spends his days fighting for justice for his son, Jimmy Atchison, who was shot and killed by law enforcement.
You just can't take life because you just decide you just want to up and take a life. My son Jimmy's life mattered. He was a living, breathing human being.
In December 2018, 21-year-old Atchison was accused of stealing a purse at gunpoint. The next month, an FBI task force raided his girlfriend's home. Local prosecutors say the FBI did not have a search warrant. Atchison ran to a neighbor's home where police cornered him in a bedroom closet under a pile of clothes. According to FBI documents, Atlanta police officer Sung Kim saw Atchison move his right hand and, thinking he had a gun, shot him. Local prosecutors say Atchison was unarmed and defenseless. Atchison's aunt, Tammy Featherstone.
What about that moment stands out the most to you?
The hurt in my sister's face. The pain of losing her only son. To know that he was unarmed and afraid and was killed in that manner, that's what really hurt me more than anything.
I was already prepared that this is going to be a fight.
That fight is especially hard because Kim, a local Atlanta police officer, was part of that FBI task force, a designation that at the time meant he did not need to wear a body camera. It also brings its own set of protections, especially from local prosecutors seeking information about the case.
If the federal government makes it literally impossible to get that information, local prosecutors' hands are tied.
The case is being handled by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, best known for charging former President Donald Trump and 18 others with election interference in Georgia. But this case could prove more difficult. An NBC News investigation found from 2018 to 2022, 223 people were shot by federal officers, task force officers, or local police in cases tied to DOJ enforcement. In the cases for which NBC News obtained documents, the shootings were justified 98% of the time. Part of the reason may be the prosecutor's inability to even build a case.
We have found in the prosecutions we've done that the federal agencies were very uncooperative. And so I imagine that other prosecutors around the nation may have tried to do the correct thing to bring charges, and they find that there are so many roadblocks, it becomes impossible to do.
During that 5-year period we examined, Atchison's case is one of only 2 that resulted in charges. Willis has charged Kim with murder. But part of her challenge, she says, is the slow pace in getting files and case information from the Justice Department.
And you find that you believe that people are being purposefully uncooperative, and then they give you a document back and it's literally the entire page is redacted.
That's something that's happened to you.
That is an actual thing that has happened.
The Department of Justice did not specifically respond to Willis's comments, but said, because there are circumstances where the use of force may occur, we recently updated our policy to ensure it parallels the best practices of federal, state, and local law enforcement. Earlier this year, Kim's case was moved to federal court, where historically judges have ruled that federal law protects officers from being prosecuted by local authorities. Kim has retired from the Atlanta Police Department and has pleaded not guilty. Both he and his attorney declined our request for comment. The DOJ says it is expanding the use of body cameras, and the FBI tells NBC News, we've got to keep doubling down on our partnerships with state, local, and federal law enforcement. It's not enough to coexist. We've got to complement one another and be truly integrated. Kim's trial date has not yet been set. Until then, Jimmy Hill says he will keep going for his son.
And he should still be alive today, and we're going to continue to fight. There's no giving up.
Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Atlanta.
Coming up, another round of student loan debt forgiven. Up next, the announcement just made by the Biden administration.
Plus, caught on camera, a promposal gone wrong. Why a student who witnessed it all is now planning to sue the school. This is Morning News Now. We are back with a promposal in Arizona that sent one student to the hospital. The student's attorney says he was a bystander and is now planning to sue the school, including the principal who was allegedly in on the plan. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo has the details and a warning. Some viewers may find it difficult to view the video.
Dramatic video of a promposal gone terribly wrong.
After the accident, we could tell that he's become a little bit more withdrawn and closed off.
Surveillance video from Arizona College Prep High School shows senior William Vanasap leaving campus on his motorcycle back in April when this Porsche SUV speeds right through a stop sign, sending him flying.
Okay, can you move your leg at all?
But running that stop sign was allegedly no accident. Instead, all part of another student's plan to ask his girlfriend to prom, according to Vanasap's attorney, who is now preparing to sue the school, the district, the principal, and the school resource officer for $1 million.
It was not a good plan. The estimated speed of the car involved that was being driven by the student was over 40 miles an hour.
According to the notice of claim sent ahead of the lawsuit, the student in the Porsche had his girlfriend in the passenger seat and planned to speed through that stop sign to be pulled over by school resource officer Joshua Basil. And when it appeared he was in trouble, he would then turn to his girlfriend and ask her to prom. That plan going off course when Vanasap entered the intersection. Basil, who according to the notice of claim was there to take part in the promposal, instead racing to check on the injured Vanasap.
He very easily could have died in this accident by just milliseconds difference in timing.
The notice alleging that not only was the school resource officer involved, but that the principal, Robert Bix, knew about the plan ahead of time too. In a statement to police included in that notice, the driver of the Porsche saying he, quote, had very clear arrangements where I gave the law enforcement as well as the school administration the make and model of my car, the time, and everything. They agreed to this.
Those adults at the school should have said, no, we're not going to do this.
In Officer Basil's body camera video, which was released by Vanasap's attorney, Principal Bix is seen sitting in Basil's car at the time of the accident. Then, minutes after Vanasap was hit, he says this.
I don't know about this.
The Chandler Unified School District and Chandler Police declined to comment, citing the pending litigation. But police confirming school resource officer Basil is still working at the school. No arrests have been made in this case.
I just wish that at least someone will be held accountable for this, because the only consequences that we've seen is William being injured.
Our thanks to Stephen Romo for that report.
Financial headlines now. Some much-needed relief is coming to some students paying off their college loan debts.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us on that and more. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Jill. Good morning to you. Yeah, so the Biden administration is forgiving another $5 billion in federal student loans. Now, the announcement, which impacts some 80,000 people, brings the total of canceled student debt to $132 billion. Now, while the Supreme Court struck down President Biden's student loan plan this year, he has still offered relief to borrowers by working around the need for approval from the courts or Congress. Student loan payments resumed in October, and interest began accruing on federal loans in September. McDonald's is teaming up with Google to use generative AI starting next year, when thousands of locations will get hardware and software upgrades. Now, along with the updates to in-store kiosks and the McDonald's app, the fast food giant will be able to use generative AI on massive amounts of data to streamline operations. The company says one outcome will be hotter and fresher food for customers, and you can also expect more AI-driven automation in the drive-through lanes. And Starbucks will help keep you caffeinated and alert during the holidays. Starting today, the chain is giving customers half off any drink every Thursday for the rest of December. You can get one discounted drink from noon until 6 p.m. The deal also applied to Starbucks' 4 new holiday cold foams: peppermint chocolate cream, sugar cookie cream, chestnut praline cream, and caramel brulee cream, guys.
Huh.
A lot of sugar there.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of cream.
That is cool, though. Half off drinks every Thursday?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Love it.
Thanks, Ivana. Appreciate it.
Coming up, it's Taylor's time, literally.
Of course, we are talking about Taylor Swift. Is there another Taylor right now?
I don't
She was
think
just
so.
named Times Person of the Year. Her reaction to the honor, highlights from her tell-all interview, her first in years. Swifties, get ready for it. This is Morning News Now.
Welcome back. So finally this hour, we all know Taylor Swift is Times Person of the Year for 2023. And in the issue, the superstar gave a rare, in-depth interview.
NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa is here to break it all down. She's just going to read the interview to us, right, Emily?
You know I read this through at least 10 times. Good morning to you. Times cover story gave Swifties a rare glimpse inside the singer's life and career. Taylor posting she usually has trust issues when it comes to giving interviews, but couldn't be happier with the magazine's piece, saying she is the proudest and happiest she's ever felt.
It's a moment in time that has Swifties shrieking with excitement.
It's a great day to be a Swiftie.
And Taylor Swift sharing the biggest, loudest, most aggressively overexcited thank you on social media after being named Time Magazine's Person of the Year. An honor revealed right here on Today with Savannah and Hoda.
We picked a choice, someone who represents joy, someone who's bringing light to the world.
Times cover story, Swift's first interview in 4 years, features a series of stunning photos. The pop star telling the magazine, "It feels like the breakthrough moment of my career, happening at 33. And it's one she's trained hard for, describing her rigorous regimen to prepare for the Eras tour. Every day I would run on the treadmill, singing the entire set list out loud," she says.
Welcome to the Eras tour.
That record-breaking Eras tour so huge, it boosted local economies and even dominated the silver screen. But since her first album 17 years ago, Swift points out she's been raised up and down the flagpole of public opinion. She discussed some of the most difficult moments, like getting canceled and moving to a foreign country after her public feud with Kanye West and then-wife Kim Kardashian, and described feeling beat when her music catalog was sold. But Swift also celebrated some of her biggest influences, like Beyonce, saying she's the most precious gem of a person.
Mama is the guy on the trees.
As for her love story with Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce, Swift says it all started when he put her on blast on his podcast this summer.
You made her a bracelet?
Yeah, I wanted to give Taylor Swift one with my number on it.
Months later, Swift attended multiple Chiefs games while Kelce traveled all the way to Argentina to support her on tour. We're showing up for each other, Swift tells Time about their relationship. While some are disappointed with the magazine's choice amid a year marred by war, many applauding Time's joyful selection.
She absolutely deserves it. She's built an amazing career based solely on her talent.
And despite some of the challenges she's faced on the road to superstardom, Swift says she is, quote, very careful to be grateful every second that I get to be doing this at this level. Next up, Swifties are hopeful she will release Reputation Taylor's version, which she says will have some fire new tracks. You know, Swifties are buzzing about that one.
Oh, my goodness. We certainly are.
Ourselves included.
We know she's going to release it. The question is just when, and we all keep, like, thinking we know. And
how many are left? How many albums are left to do?
Reputation and then her original
the very first Taylor Swift.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. That was 17 years ago.
So now we're pretty sure that's going to be the last.
How old was she then?
Oh, my God. Well, that was what's so amazing about her. She was in high school. I mean,
she was so young.
Yeah.
We could go on about hours about this.
I know.
Yeah.
As you're well aware.
Like a documentary.
We're ready. We're ready for it.
But actually to hear, so as you know, she releases these new songs that she wrote at the time, but that we've never heard when she does these re-recordings. And those are the songs that she says are going to be fire.
Fire, vault tracks.
There you go. Emily, thank you.
Thank you.
Ready for the fire. It's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
The news continues right now, though. Stick with us.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, terror in the desert. The suspect is dead after a shooting rampage at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas yesterday. Law enforcement now confirms at least 3 people were killed. We will bring you what we know this morning as President Biden once again calls on Congress for action. Also this morning, it's down to 4 at the 4th Republican debate. It devolved into a political free-for-all with the clock ticking down to the pivotal Iowa caucus, now just weeks away. Candidates taking aim at former President Trump, who is absent once again, and at former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, who is surging. Got a full recap, plus a look at how voters are responding. In the Middle East, harrowing new IDF video from the ground in Gaza. It allegedly shows gains against Hamas and its commanders in the field. Also, U.S. officials say Israel's military is now planning to flood those underground tunnels with seawater. We're going to bring you the latest. And we're going to end this hour by flipping the script with the trailblazing creator of the critically acclaimed Showtime series, Fellow Travelers. The show is bringing the unseen tension of McCarthyism and the lavender scare to a brand new audience. I am addicted to it. We watch it when it comes out every single Friday. It's going to be exciting to talk
Appointment viewing. I love when we get a flip in the script.
Exactly. All right. We're going to begin this hour. The race for the White House. 4 Republican presidential candidates took the debate stage for what could be their final battle ahead of the Iowa caucus.
That's right. It was Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, and Vivek Ramaswamy. They spent the night laying out their platforms, but also hurling insults at one another. But one candidate loomed over them all, even though he wasn't there. Former President Donald Trump. NBC News senior Capitol Hill correspondent Garrett Hake has the details.
Overnight, the 4th Republican presidential debate devolving into a 4-way brawl, with Nikki Haley and the absent Donald Trump taking most of the punches. Chris Christie calling out his fellow candidates for ignoring their party's dominant frontrunner.
He's the one who, as you just put it, is way ahead in the polls. And yet, I've got these 3 guys who are all seemingly to compete with, Voldemort. He who shall not be named. They don't want to talk about it.
Christie also asked about this Trump comment.
He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, no, other than day one.
This is an angry, bitter man who now wants to be back as president because he wants to exact retribution on anyone who has disagreed with him. Do I think he was kidding when he said he was a dictator? All you have to do is look at the history.
But with Mr. Trump fundraising in Florida overnight and refusing to take part in a single debate, it's been Nikki Haley who's seen a rise in both momentum and money.
And in terms of these donors that are supporting me, they're just jealous. They wish that they were supporting them.
Haley fending off increasingly personal attacks from Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy.
Nikki will cave to those big donors when it counts.
The only person more fascist than the Biden regime now is Nikki Haley.
I love all the attention, fellas. Thank you for that.
Haley later brushing off Ramaswamy when he called her corrupt.
Would you like to respond?
No. It's not worth my time to respond to him.
With the frontrunner absent, the night often marked by personal attacks.
Chris, your version of foreign policy experience was closing a bridge from New Jersey to New York. Yeah. So do everybody a favor, just walk yourself off that stage, enjoy a nice meal, and get the hell out of this race.
Christie also mocking DeSantis for refusing to directly answer a question about Mr. Trump's fitness for office.
We do not want to do
You're talking about him being 80 years old.
It doesn't mean that somebody couldn't get elected. That's up to the people to decide. I think we have an opportunity to do somebody who is in the prime of their life.
Thanks to Garrett Haake for that recap.
Let's now bring in NBC News Digital senior political reporter Jonathan Allen for more on this. Jonathan, always great to have you with us. Good morning. So we just heard some of the attacks against Nikki Haley during last night's debate. But what we didn't see, Chris Christie, who came to her defense when Vivek Ramaswamy criticized her knowledge of Ukraine. First, I want to play some of that.
He has insulted Nikki Haley's basic intelligence, not her positions, her basic intelligence. She doesn't know regions. She wouldn't be able to find something on a map that his 3-year-old could find. Look, if you want to disagree on issues, that's fine. And Nikki and I disagree on some issues. But I'll tell you this, I've known her for 12 years, which is longer than he's even started to vote in a Republican primary. And while we disagree about some issues and we disagree about who should be president of the United States, what we don't disagree on is this is a smart, accomplished woman, and you should stop insulting her.
Jonathan, I mean, could that be something bigger in the future, the two of them kind of teaming up? And how does it benefit her to get that support from him?
Hey, good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Joe. Chivalry is not dead. Chris Christie standing up there for Nikki Haley. Look, it was a moment where, you could envision him potentially dropping out and endorsing her at some point. I mean, his words for her were not, he obviously has been critical of her as he has of other candidates for not going after Donald Trump as hard as he would like them to, or as hard as he thinks people should be doing in order to stop Donald Trump. But I think that was a genuine moment from Christie where he looked at, what Vivek Ramaswamy was doing and said, basically cut it out. Like, why would you attack the intelligence of a candidate who, who nobody, I don't think anybody who's ever dealt with Nikki Haley or watched her for very long, questions her intelligence, questions her intellect. As Christie said, you can disagree with her on her positions, but it's pretty low blow to start attacking her intellect.
John, let's talk about Ramaswamy. I mean, he started strong early in the campaign, but has since declined. I think some of that would be because of his performances at the debate. He tends to repel some people. Did his performance last night do anything to change that?
Not at all, Joe. I mean, you could see on the stage, I mean, these candidates, I think dislike him would be an understatement. I think they really are disgusted by him at times. And I think they look at him as, as pulling gimmicks and not taking the process seriously enough for somebody who wants to be the president of the United States. He has needed to gain attention. He's needed to gain donors to be able to stay on debate stages, to be able to stay in the discussion. And so you see, sort of increasing levels of gimmickry on the stage. In one of the previous debates in the NBC-hosted debate, he called for Ronna McDaniel to resign as RNC chair from the stage. And then last night, as we saw in Garrett's package, he held up a notepad saying that Nikki equals corrupt. I mean, this is not... He has, many minutes to speak in the debate. He certainly didn't need a visual aid.
Jonathan, finally, we heard the candidates talk, wide range of topics, of course. Something that was not brought up either by Megyn Kelly or the contenders, abortion. Can Democrats seize on this issue ahead of the Iowa caucus? And how much was it sort of, glaring that it was left out of the conversation here?
It was glaring, Savannah. It's hard to fathom that that's something that they didn't discuss at all, particularly because some of these candidates, and Nikki Haley is one of them, for sure, have had shifting positions on abortion, not only over time, but sort of in the, within the context of this campaign. So yeah, I was surprised that wasn't asked at all.
Jonathan Allen, as always, we appreciate you joining us to break this all down. Thank you.
The University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV, is reeling after a gunman opened fire on campus yesterday, killing 3 people. The gunman then died in a shootout with police. Authorities say there could have been more victims had it not been for a quick response from campus police. NBC News correspondent Steve Patterson joins us now from Vegas with the latest. Steve, good morning.
Joe, good morning. Campus here really at a standstill. All classes, all activities, all events shut down for the rest of the week as the community here really works to process its grief. Meanwhile, police working to uncover what led to this terrifying attack. A day of terror on the campus of UNLV. Just before noon, police say a gunman opened fire on the 4th floor of the business school building, killing 3 and wounding a 4th before being shot and killed by university police.
Armed confrontation of the suspect by law enforcement stopped the suspect's further actions.
3 law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation tell NBC News the gunman was a male in his 60s. The suspect had been reportedly turned away from a job at UNLV in previous years. Investigators not providing a motive. This alarm prompting students like Brett Johnson to escape on foot.
I always hear about mass shootings, and especially at schools and stuff, but it doesn't feel real until it actually happens.
A chilling warning posted on the campus website urging students to run, hide, fight.
We heard the clips of semi-automatic weapons just going for what felt like about 30 seconds. It was a very, very disturbing thing to hear.
Classrooms full of terrified students locked down for hours.
I honestly didn't think I was going to make it out of there alive.
For many in Las Vegas, the shooting brought back memories of the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history, when 58 people were killed and hundreds wounded in 2017 at a music festival on the Vegas Strip, less than 4 miles from the UNLV campus.
No student should have to fear pursuing their dreams on the college campus.
After the initial terror, some students expressing anger. More has not been done to stop mass shootings in America.
School shootings have been happening since I was born. I was born in the year 2000. It's 2023. And I'm tired of it. College is supposed to be the best time of your life, not the end of it.
According to the Gun Violence Archive, there have now been more than 630 mass shootings in this country in 2023 alone. That is at a record pace at this point. Joe.
All right, Steve, thank you so much.
A new round of intense fighting has erupted in Gaza. Israeli troops are battling Hamas militants as aid groups are warning that the humanitarian crisis triggered by this war is getting even worse. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is in southern Israel with the latest.
This is the kibbutz of Nir Oz, and it's one of the communities that was devastated when Hamas attacked 2 months ago today. There were only 400 people living here, so a very tight-knit community, and 25% of people on this kibbutz were either killed or kidnapped. This is the town center, and you can see how Hamas shot their way in through the front doors. And there's one thing here that I want to show you that I think encapsulates the entire tragedy of what happened here. This is the small post office. And all of the post boxes have been marked with these stickers. Black for kidnapped, blue for free, and there aren't very many of those, and red for people who were killed. This attack happened just after 6:30 in the morning as Hamas militants swept through this community and others like it, killing and kidnapping everyone they could find.
Israeli troops say they're making advances against Hamas in Gaza, killing its field commanders. The military releasing new video overnight of soldiers on foot on the attack. And fresh airstrikes. Military officials tell NBC News troops are finding and destroying hundreds of entrances to Hamas tunnels, showing us videos of shafts discovered outside a school.
You can see the piers of the tunnel, the Hamas terror tunnel going under the school.
Israel is blowing up the tunnels it locates, and according to U.S. officials, is considering flooding them with seawater. Some of Hamas's hostages may be inside those tunnels. As Israel continues its open-ended military campaign in Gaza, U.S. officials tell NBC News they worry if Israel has a clear exit strategy. The offensive is turning much of the Gaza Strip into a wasteland. An Israeli colonel acknowledged the entire city of Beit Hanun in northern Gaza has been made uninhabitable.
Are Palestinians going to be able to go back to areas that you were clearing?
Well, right now they won't, but if there will be a rehabilitation effort from the international community after deneutralizing the Gaza Strip, then I think it will be possible. Right now, it's not livable.
That means there will be no homes to return to for many of the Palestinians who have fled the north and are now packed into southern Gaza. Moving south has been traumatic for 7 orphans and disabled children who left a care home in Gaza City. We met Ayas at the start of the war. He's blind and paralyzed. Now he and some of the others are in Han Yunis. His carer is running out of medicine for him. They've already moved 4 times and may have to relocate again as Israel's campaign against Hamas continues to expand.
Right next to the post office is the kibbutz's dining room. And today is the first day of Hanukkah, and they've set up the tables with placemats for the people who can't be here, those who were killed or kidnapped, including members of the Bibas family. He's the youngest hostage held by Hamas. Instead of a family meal, they have a table of remembrance.
Just heartbreaking. Richard Engel, thank you very much.
Time to get a check on your morning news now. Weather.
That means Angie Lastman is here, and she's tracking the next round of storms headed for the northwest. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. And that storm that we're going to watch impact the northwest today, that's eventually going to impact most of the country here as we go through the next couple of days. So let's see what's going on right now on the radar. You'll notice still rain coming in from northern California up into portions of Washington. They've been dealing with the on and off rain. The good news with today's system that we're going to see work through, it's not quite as strong. So we don't have those really impressive amounts of rain that we've been seeing in the past couple of days, but it's still additional rain that, of course, they don't need. Those grounds are very saturated. The rivers are swollen, so an additional half an inch, quarter of an inch, not great for folks in that area. We could see upwards of maybe an inch in some of these spots. So we'll still watch for flooding, although the flooding alerts have come down in a lot of spots, but the potential is there. If you live in this area, again, northern California up into Washington, we'll have to watch for that here through the next couple of days. Now, that system is eventually going to move east. It's going to kind of get its act together, or re-get its act together, I should say, as it gets east of the Rockies for tomorrow. And then as we get into Saturday, we see this line of thunderstorms kind of develop along the cold front. It goes from basically the Midwest, Michigan, all the way down to Texas, and it will bring the chance for some strong storms, a severe threat, also some heavy rain, some gusty winds, and the potential for some kind of wintry conditions in some spots. Now, one thing to note, as we get into Saturday night, there could be a chance for some of those severe storms ramping up in parts of the deep south. That means tornadoes, hail, strong wind gusts, all on the table for folks for the afternoon hours and into the evening hours of Saturday. Now, Sunday, we see it move a little farther to the east. This brings the rain and that kind of wintry mix to the eastern third of the country. That includes basically the northeast down to the south. Florida, all the way up into Maine, we'll see rain. We'll see some gusty conditions, too. And we'll also, with that heavy rain, have the potential for some flooding. This isn't a great day to travel. I think airport delays will be possible up and down the East Coast. With those winds over 50 miles per hour, that'll be a concern, too. And not to mention, we could see some heavy snow developing behind that system as it starts to exit. It will still be lingering for folks in the Northeast and New England as we get back to work on Monday. Rainfall totals anywhere from about an inch to 2 inches is the higher amounts. You can see places like New York, Washington, D.C., Huntsville, Knoxville, all included in those amounts. And then the interior areas of New England, that's where we could see some good amount of snow. It depends on how fast that system exits, but places like upstate New York could have some wintry weather to contend with as they are out on the roads on Monday.
Yeah, they're used to it up there.
Yeah, they are. You're right. And it's December.
Exactly.
What can you expect? Angie, thank you so much.
No problem.
Well, we've got much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including new sexual assault allegations against hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs, how he is responding this morning.
Plus, a high-profile legal challenge to abortion restrictions in Texas goes in front of a judge today. What the verdict could mean for a person's right to choose there. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Back now with international headlines. The U.S., South Korea, and Japan are set to meet to discuss security concerns over North Korea.
NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Labanga joins us from Rome with that and more. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. That's right. South Korea confirmed that this week it will host a three-way meeting with Japan and the United States to discuss especially the growing military threat by North Korea to the region. Now, on Saturday, the U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is expected to meet his counterparts from South Korea and Japan to discuss what the National Security Council called regional issues of mutual concern, particularly in the security environment. Japan said discussions will include the recent launch by North Korea of a spy satellite. Let's now go to Zambia, where a man was pulled alive out of a mine nearly a week after a landslide caused by heavy rain trapped dozens of miners. 2 bodies were also retrieved from under the debris. Government officials said that more than 30 miners could still be trapped underground. A 49-year-old survivor said he spent 5 days trying to find his way out of the collapsed tunnels and is now recovering in hospital. And let's end this tour in the world of arts. Take a look at this painting. Only 2 years ago, it was valued at $15,000. Well, on Wednesday, it sold at an auction for almost $14 million. Its value skyrocketed after Sotheby's auction house attributed it to none other than Rembrandt. Art experts spent about 18 months analyzing the painting and concluded it is definitely the work of the Dutch master. It depicts the encounter of the 3 wise men and Jesus, although it looks like the wisest man of all was the collector who bought it for peanuts and sold it for millions.
No
he also
kidding.
might have said, "Oh, Jesus," when he realized how much the painting was worth.
He might have, Claudio. We're not sure.
That is quite the
That
investment.
is incredible.
And
I love
fascinating
those
that
lost masterpiece
spending
stories.
18 months to be like, yeah, it's Rembrandt.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. What a find. Claudio, thank you so much. Well, Texas's strict abortion rules are set to face a major challenge today when a judge hears the case of a 31-year-old mother seeking an emergency abortion.
The lawsuit was filed against the Texas Attorney General's office. It says Kate Cox's baby has a deadly fetal condition, which means it has little to no chance of survival. Lawyers say the pregnancy also jeopardizes the mother's health.
NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra joins us on this now. Hi, Marissa. Good morning. So we know Texas has some of the toughest abortion rules in the country. So walk us through Cox's story and why her case has actually been brought to the court.
Hey, Savannah, Joe, good morning. Yeah, I mean, this is nothing short of historic. This is one of the first attempts to seek a court-ordered abortion since Dobbs, the overturn of Roe versus Wade. So the woman at the center of this all, Kate Cox, she's 20 weeks pregnant. She's carrying a baby who has trisomy 18, and roughly 90 to 95% of babies do not survive their first year with trisomy 18. And so Cox has said that her doctors in Texas have told her that she is required to carry out this pregnancy under Texas law as it stands right now. And so on Tuesday, she filed a lawsuit with the Center for Reproductive Rights asking for there to be an exception to this. Part of this is, Kate Cox says she does want a 3rd child. She currently has 2 children already. And they're arguing that not only is her life threatened, but the future fertility for her and her family is threatened if she does indeed carry this out. So, Savannah and Joe, what they're asking for is for a temporary stop to the abortion bans in Texas to be made so that her OBGYN can perform an abortion for her.
Does Cox's legal team believe they have a chance here?
Yeah, and that's the great question here, because their argument is that this is an urgent medical need. We talked about trisomy 18, how it not only puts the baby's life at risk, but, the mother's life at risk. So they're arguing that they have a sound case that this does constitute as an urgent medical need. And so in interviews with NBC News, the Center for Reproductive Rights has continuously said that they remain hopeful, guys.
And Marissa, what happens if the court rules against Cox? Does she have any other options?
Yeah, so in that same interview with NBC News, a senior staff member with this legal rights group had said that in similar cases, women have gone to other states to seek abortion care, and that would potentially be the route that Kate Cox takes if this does go that route. But they said that they're arguing that she should be able to get the care she needs in her own local area.
And this is an insane situation for any person in need of urgent health care to be in. I can tell you that she says tears occur every single day. She is trying to be hopeful. She is optimistic, but she's very scared. And who wouldn't be? So if Kate can't get the abortion in Texas that she is seeking, I don't know what will happen to her.
So, Joe, Savannah, a lot of eyes will be on this. This case will be heard in less than 2 hours.
All right, Marissa, keep us posted on this. Thank you so much. Well, hip-hop music mogul Sean Combs is facing new allegations of sexual assault this morning.
A fourth woman has now filed a lawsuit claiming Combs, who's also known as Diddy, raped her when she was just 17. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us with more on this. Liz, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning. Yeah, a shocking allegation here. The woman says this happened to her when she was still in high school. She claims Combs and two other men gang raped her at a music studio here in New York. It's something Combs is now adamantly denying.
This morning, music mogul Sean Combs, known as Diddy, facing a fourth accusation of sexual assault. In a federal lawsuit filed Wednesday against the three-time Grammy winner, an unnamed woman alleges Combs and two other men, including a former longtime president of Combs' record label, gang raped her in a New York recording studio 20 years ago when she was just 17 and a junior in high school. The woman says it all began when she met two associates of Combs at a Detroit lounge. According to the lawsuit, which includes these photos allegedly taken that night, they convinced her to get on a private plane with them to New York, where they then plied her with drugs and alcohol. It's there, she says, the three men took turns raping her in the studio's bathroom. When they were done, the lawsuit says they drove her to the airport and put her back on a plane to Michigan. Combs denies the allegations, posting on Instagram Wednesday, "Enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear," he continued. "I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth." This woman, now the fourth person in recent weeks to raise accusations against Combs, some including rape and trafficking. Last month, his former longtime partner, singer Cassie, whose real name is Cassandra Ventura, filed a graphic lawsuit claiming Combs raped and physically abused her over the course of a decade. That complaint accuses Combs of uncontrollable rage and alleges that he often punched, beat, kicked, and stomped on her. Cassie and Combs reached a settlement in that lawsuit without disclosing terms of the agreement. Two other women have also alleged in recent lawsuits that Combs sexually assaulted them, allegations Combs also denies.
And the lawsuit says the first three women to come forward with allegations against Combs gave this fourth woman the confidence to share her story. She says as a result of being raped, she suffered significant emotional distress that, guys, has plagued her life for 20 years.
All right, Liz Kreutz, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank
For
you.
more on this, we're joined now by NBC News Now legal analyst Angela Senadella. So, Angela, there have been three other lawsuits accusing Sean Combs of sexual assault filed in less than a month. One of those claims brought by Combs' ex, Cassie, has already settled. Can that case or any others have any bearing at all on this new claim?
Not directly, but this new claim is represented by the same lawyer that settled Cassie's lawsuit. And in general, when you see a settlement that is brought by a figure who is well-resourced and has a lot of publicity, then often a lot of settlements will follow because there is a sign there that the person who is involved is willing to settle and not willing to go through trial. Because look, in these extremely sensitive situations, often what deters someone from going and filing this lawsuit is not wanting to have to go to trial, not wanting to have to repeat whatever trauma alleged that happened on the stand. But if you know that the person is willing to settle, that tends to change the game. So it is likely because of the settlement with Cassie that we are seeing a number of allegations follow.
Angela, given that we've seen that settlement happen, given that we now have as many accusers as we do coming forward, but then also that we did get this statement now on Instagram from Sean Combs, what are you looking for to happen next? How do you see this playing out?
Well, it sounds like these allegations are horrific and also don't really involve just him. So if he were to take this to trial and not settle immediately as he did with Cassie, then it would involve a lot of other people. Also in this case, it's not just allegations against people, but also against his company, because as we saw in the allegations, Pierre, the individual who first met the Jane Doe who is filing this lawsuit, was at that point the president of Bad Boy Entertainment. So with a trial, as you know, because you are now experts in these trials and lawsuits, there's so much discovery that happens and all of that information can become public. So I think it's extremely unlikely that we will see a a trial at this point. But who knows with regards to the amounts of settlement.
All right. Angela Cinadella, thank you so much. Appreciate your time this morning. Coming up, a behind-the-scenes look at how one major mover is working to make sure your holiday deliveries arrive in one piece.
We'll run through the faces at FedEx's futuristic package lab. That's after this.
We're back with new details on a legal dispute that could further shake up the set of the popular series Yellowstone. A company owned by the show's creator, Taylor Sheridan, is now suing one of his own cast members over, get this, coffee. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas breaks down the brewing legal battle.
Hey there, this lawsuit was filed by Taylor Sheridan's ranch, and it comes amid a rocky last year for his runaway hit series, with star Kevin Costner exiting the show and suggesting that he will go to court over how that departure played out.
Do what's best for the ranch.
A legal battle percolating between the creator of the hit show Yellowstone and one of its own actors.
Everybody ready?
The lawsuit was filed in a Texas federal court by Bosque Ranch, which is owned by Yellowstone showrunner Taylor Sheridan and serves as a filming location for the series. According to a Wall Street Journal report citing executives and crew members, Yellowstone's network Paramount pays Sheridan up to $50,000 a week to film on his properties. Bosque Ranch debuted a coffee line in June and is accusing a coffee company launched 4 months later by Cole Hauser, who plays ranch hand Rip Wheeler on Yellowstone, of trademark infringement and false advertising.
You leave now or you never leave.
The grounds for the lawsuit? Bosque Ranch alleges that the interlocking letter design of Hauser's Free Reign logo is confusingly similar to the ranch's, causing irreparable damage to its brand. Taylor Sheridan and Bosque Ranch did not respond to NBC News' request for comment. Free Reign declined to comment to NBC News on the lawsuit. But Hauser talked about his new brand of coffee on Today when it launched in October.
What's the story behind Free Reign?
I'll tell you, it's about taking risk. It's about enjoying your time and a little bit of coffee.
Brand isn't something you earn, it's something you live up to.
It could mean even more drama behind the scenes of the wildly popular hit show. Set to start filming its final episodes in the spring after a hiatus during the Hollywood strikes, scheduled to air in November 2024. But there's been no shortage of rumblings surrounding the series' end, including whether its star Kevin Costner will appear as John Dutton in the final episodes at all, after Costner testified during a September child support hearing that Paramount, quote, offered him less money than previous seasons and that there were issues with the creatives behind the show. Now it's unclear how the latest legal twist will affect Yellowstone's final days of filming.
Costner said during the hearing that he was owed $12 million from the show and that they'd probably go to court over it, meaning another Yellowstone star could soon be embroiled in a legal dispute. Back to you.
All right, Chloe, thank you so much.
Well, Christmas is just around the corner. Time is maybe running out to get those gifts on your list set out. It's the time of year when shipping companies work overtime to get those packages to you quickly. Also, though, importantly, in one piece.
One person who always delivers for us is NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung.
Thank you very much.
I can't take credit.
I see what you did.
I can't take credit. Our producers wrote that one. It's an exclusive look at how FedEx makes sure all the packages survive.
Yeah, good morning, guys. So, again, when we're talking about what's happening here with FedEx, obviously they are handling millions of packages. So I wanted to go to their lab, which is out in Memphis, Tennessee, to take a look at, well, how exactly do they test those packages to make sure they hold up to the test? Take a listen. About 82 million packages per day will zigzag across the country this holiday season, with the major shipping companies finding new and faster ways to get items to your door, including AI and autonomous vehicles to help move packages. And at FedEx's 33,000 square foot packaging lab right outside of Memphis, Tennessee, experts work with companies like Walmart and Wayfair to figure out the best ways to keep things undamaged in transit. Shaking, rattling, and rolling them. I'm trying to think of what to gift my mom for the holidays and decided to test out some options that might get to her intact with the help of FedEx packaging lab managers Evan Edwards and Tyler Kenny. So we have a set of wine glasses here. We have a poster of her favorite artist, Harry Styles, of some Central Barbecue. First, the wine glasses. We surrounded each fragile item with cardboard inserts before adding packing paper. there's steps to making sure that these are all going to arrive in one piece.
Yeah, and it all depends on the fragility of the product.
For our poster, trying to make sure our oddly shaped item doesn't crinkle or bend, we go with the tube in another tube.
So what we're really trying to do is just make sure this thing isn't moving around too much. So that'll give us just an extra layer of safety and security.
And for perishable items, our ribs packed in a cooler with ice. With everything wrapped up, it's time to put the packages to the test. First, the drop test. 3, 2, 1.
This package may be coming down a slide, coming down a belt with a heavier package behind it that may bump into it. I didn't hear any broken glass.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Then we applied some pressure.
So today we're going to try to compress this package to 283 pounds.
Literally bearing the load of other packages on top.
250
Again,
pounds?
simulating that much weight on top of it.
Absolutely.
And then tested for the bumps and bruises of a little turbulence.
So it can be anything from hitting potholes, hitting the brakes hard. It could be turbulence in the back of your aircraft when the package is being shipped.
Finally, for the ribs, FedEx puts packages in a chamber that can simulate a really hot or really cold day to test if the items can keep in transit, even if this box is in 100-degree weather.
That's right, and we've got the climate chamber set up to a typical hot Memphis summer day.
Now, time to assess the damage. First, our ribs stayed chill.
Yeah, no, this is cold to the touch.
She's going to be absolutely devastated if this isn't in one piece.
Well,
the poster held up.
In one piece?
That's right.
And finally, the fragile wine glasses.
Pristine. Looks
Cheers.
very good. I think your mother would be happy.
I think so, too.
When tests aren't successful like ours were, FedEx will rethink or redesign its packaging and help businesses do the same. And guys, a few more FedEx tips to help you ship. Include an address on a separate piece of paper inside your package in case something happens with the label. And shop and ship early. FedEx actually helped me package and send, some other things as well. So, a lot going on there. But, it's really cool to see the apparatuses and the tests that they have on site.
Yeah. Wow. Is it true? I would have never thought about putting an address inside. I would have never thought about shipping these.
The label comes off. That way, they can go inside and then see actually exactly who it's
There you go. Smart. Yep. Brian Chung, our NBC News business correspondent. Congratulations on the new title. Thanks so much. Coming up, for a lot of us, life can seem pretty tough at times. You might even feel like your struggles are so out of this world that nothing in the universe could help you tackle them.
Thankfully, our good friend Mike Massimino, astronaut extraordinaire and noted expert on all things space, has a new book called Moonshot. He's taking the lessons he's learned up there to help bring you back down to Earth in a good way. That's next on Morning News Now.
We're back with some financial headlines for you. Facebook parent company Meta is making some changes to calling and chatting on the app.
CNBC's Silvana Henao has that in other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Joe, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, so Meta Platforms is rolling out end-to-end encryption for all personal and, guys, you know what? I'm very sorry. I'm having a little issue right here. Let me see if I can get this squared away.
Wait. Nope.
Sorry
Silvana.
about that. Nope.
Yep. We'll let you go and we'll move along here. We don't want to read any bad financial headlines.
Yeah,
Thanks
there
a
you
lot.
go.
I appreciate it. Do you ever feel like life's obstacles? For example, the teleprompter doesn't work when you're reading a CNBC business headline. Do they get in the way of your dreams? Or maybe you just have a goal that seems impossible to achieve? Well, we have some wisdom for you that's literally out of this world.
One former NASA astronaut is now taking the life lessons he learned while on his journey to space and sharing them with people for their everyday struggles. He details the wisdom he's gained from space exploration in a way for people to take action in overcoming obstacles that might even seem impossible, but right down here on Earth. Joining us now in studio is our friend, former NASA astronaut and New York Times bestselling author, Mike Massimino. It's so great to see you. And this is his new book. You're looking at it right here. It's titled Moonshot, a NASA astronaut's guide to achieving the impossible. From a Long Island kid with bad eyesight and a fear of heights of spacewalking. Those are two of the things that are kind of part of this thread here.
Yeah.
You make it to NASA, such a difficult process, but you also sort of outline how exactly it is to try to become an astronaut. Tell us just first about challenges that you faced along the way, because I think we look at you and we're like, you're an astronaut.
Yeah,
it's hard for us to imagine.
And that's what I would do as well, is look at, my idols were Neil Armstrong and these astronauts, when I was growing up, and you don't realize that people and people in your position as well, and successful people in general, they've had struggles to get there. Successful people are not those that never failed. They're those who never let failure stop them. And so when you're trying to do something, especially a dream or something that's a little bit different or extraordinary, don't expect it to be easy. And the important thing, I think, is just to keep going. I was rejected 3 times from NASA, including a medical disqualification for my eyesight. I had to train my eyes to see better. That had never been overcome before, I don't think. Previously, there was people had been disqualified before for that, but I was able to figure a way to get around that and apply again and get picked on my 4th try. So 1 out of a million is not 0. You know, if the odds are against you, just keep trying. And the only way that it goes to 0 is if you give up.
I love that. That's the name of one of your chapters.
Yep,
1 in a million is not
that's
0.
Correct.
Why is it so important for you to share these lessons with other people?
Joe, it was a lot of perseverance to get to the astronaut office. And then when I got there, I was a civilian, and this was a whole new world for me. I started hearing these tips of advice, and I wanted to do well, right? So I listened to the veterans, to people, my colleagues, people I work with, the instructors, the flight directors, everybody, and realized that there was a lot of wisdom on how to be successful as an astronaut. Things like letting your mistakes pass, the teamwork issue. So it was like teamwork, perseverance, leadership. All these lessons that I learned over the years were really helpful to me in space. And then I realized over the last 10 years since leaving NASA, they're also helpful in my personal life and my life here on Earth. And I do a fair amount of speaking in different organizations. And what I found was it was those lessons that they were most interested in. So it was so extraordinary for me to learn these things and to apply them to my space flights. And I realized they're also applicable to whether you're working in a cubicle or working here in the studio or working a job somewhere or at home or dealing with family members and friends. The same rules and guidelines apply. So I wanted to share those.
Yeah, and what's really cool, as you just described, is like there's a chapter where you're talking about something that kind of goes down where you didn't want to ask for help as you're on one of your first spacewalks, I think the first. And you pull out of that a lesson like go slow and resist the temptation to act too quickly, something that we could think about any time with anything down here on Earth at home.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the things I had to learn was how to deal with my mistakes. You know, making mistakes, I was good at making mistakes. That I didn't have to learn how to do, but how to deal with them was the issue, right? And we all don't want to make mistakes, but we do. Things happen. Sometimes they're out of our control. Sometimes it's something we've messed up. But how do you react to that? That's the key. So there's 2 chapters in here dealing with mistakes. One is the 30-second rule. Beat yourself up for 30 seconds, and then that's it. You know, have an internal rant, and then move on because your team needs you. You can't dwell on it I would ruminate on things for days when something went wrong or I made a mistake. But you can't do that in space. But you don't have any time to waste here.
You said it to be 30 seconds of regret.
Regret, yes,
right?
Yeah. Regret. Yeah, what did I say?
No.
30 seconds.
Right?
Give yourself 30 seconds of regret. Yeah, 30 seconds of remorse is what my friend C.J. Sturkow called it. He's the guy that invented it, I think. And 30 seconds of regret is hard. So you can be regretful. It's okay to be upset about something that went wrong, but cap it at 30 seconds and move on. And then another thing you were talking about, Savannah, is no matter how bad things seem to appear, you know, oh man, this is the worst. Remember, you can make it worse.
Yeah.
It could always get worse. And so when something happens, it's usually only strike one. Slow down, get help. That's what I did on my spacewalks. And I find that I use these rules every day because I make mistakes all the time.
We have a minute left here, but I think we have a full screen that has some of the lessons that you teach in this lesson. What's your advice to people to just try to apply this in everyday life? Because it's not always easy to actually apply it.
No, it's not. The way I did it is good to have these little things in your head that when something happens, you can revert to that. Okay, I made this mistake. I'm gonna have my 30-second rant in the side of my head, and then I'm gonna move on. So I think each chapter is kind of independent. You can read one they don't stack. This kind of like each lesson is in each chapter. At the end, there's kind of a summary. So that I think is what you want to try to keep in mind. Moving forward. That's the way I did it. I would apply these things. And one to keep in mind is to try to, for the holidays, I think, is to always have a good thought about people. You know, if you find teamwork, the most important thing is to care for and admire everyone on your team. You find someone you don't like, don't think of it, you don't like them, think of it, you don't know them well enough, and always have that good thought in your head about everyone in your life. So when you might have a conflict, like maybe in the holidays, right? Go to that bank of good thoughts and remember why that person means so much to you.
I absolutely love, just quickly, the last one that's on there, too, when you're just talking about being amazed.
Yes, we live on an amazing planet. From space, Earth looks like a paradise. I always felt like I was looking into heaven. but that's admiring from afar. When you get down into it and you're moving around, you can see the real beauty of the planet. I just got out of the car today and saw that Christmas tree.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So be amazed by all the wonders we have around us, particularly at Christmas.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming in. Congrats on this book.
Thank you
really,
for
it's a
having
fabulous read. I highly recommend it. Thank you.
Coming
Thanks
up,
for
we're flipping the script this morning with the tremendously talented creator of Fellow Travelers, a new Showtime limited series bringing the untold stories of McCarthyism to life. That creator is going to join us next with more, not just on the Red Scare, but the Lavender Scare. Stick around.
We're back with a delicious Philadelphia-style surprise for some hungry New Yorkers. Look, you recognize that face. That is actor Bradley Cooper. He's serving up Philly cheesesteaks yesterday from the Angelo's Pizzeria food truck in New York's Greenwich Village. Angelo's is a Philly-based restaurant known for its sandwiches, snacks, and breakfast options. Well, Cooper is reportedly partnering with Angelo's owners to open Danny and Coop's Cheesesteaks. The pop-up event is scheduled to take place again today. I don't know, you going to run down there to get a cheesesteak from Bradley Cooper,
That's
Joe?
not, I feel like the line might be long now.
Now that we've announced to the world.
Exactly.
Good luck.
All right, very cool. Good luck to anyone who's getting it. I'm sure it'll be great. Now to our series, Flipping the Script, featuring people on air, on stage, and behind the scenes, shining a spotlight on diversity. Enter Fellow Travelers. It's a Showtime series starring Matt Bomer and Jonathan Bailey that focuses on two men who fall in love during the 1950s. It's an understatement to say that was a tough time to be queer. It was the height of the Lavender Scare, when gay men and lesbians were investigated, interrogated, and removed from the federal government. The series is based on a 2007 novel by Thomas Mallon, also called Fellow Travelers. This morning we are joined by the showrunner and executive producer of the limited series, Ron Nicewander. Ron, so good to have you with us. I have been watching it every single week. I'm caught up. It is an extraordinary show, amazing acting, amazing writing. What was it about this book that made you say, I need to adapt this for the small screen?
Well, and it was 11 years ago when I read it. It took a long time. It's the love story at the center of it. It's the best kind of love story with people that are really not suited to each other. They're opposite, and they're powerfully drawn to each other. And to put that at a time of our history that I didn't even know anything about, the Lavender Scare, the McCarthy and Cohen purge of homosexuals from the government. It was sort of too, I couldn't resist it.
A lot of times we hear about McCarthyism, we think of the Red Scare, not the Lavender Scare. Why? What do you want people to know about that time? Because we just don't learn about it really in school.
Well, it certainly wasn't microaggressions. You know, it was actually a government sanctioned. There was an executive order signed by President Eisenhower that banned all sexual deviants from working for the federal government. You would be banned for life. An investigation into you could be started by a colleague anonymously, maybe someone who didn't like you. And people were polygraphed. The FBI went into people's homes and they questioned their neighbors. They sent letters to their families and said, your son or daughter is being invested as a sexual deviant. At one point, they were estimating that one employee a week was committing suicide. You know, because your life was ruined, basically. And it's important to remember, that government can be used to truly harm its citizens, if we're not paying attention.
You mentioned the love story aspect of
Yes.
this. I saw an interview with you where you said, I love love stories about people who are not meant to be together.
Yes.
That's kind of what this is, right?
I've done a lot of research personally, by the way, in that arena. But yes, I just think that actually, I wanted a love story that constantly has dramatic tension. And I also think these two guys, played by Matt Bomer and Jonathan Bailey, they embody different ways of going through the world. And so what happens, Matt is he's methodical and he is very clear about what he wants. Jonathan's like an open wound. He just wants to be loved. We're not sure that Hawk, the character that Matt plays, is even capable of love. He's not sure.
He's kind of an unlikable character at times.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love Hawkins Fuller, actually, because he's in control of his life. But in times, when times are tough, the rules change. And Hawk's mission is to survive. And he might have to get you out of his way. And Jonathan is sort of this open heart that goes to the world. And I think watching them, they're drawn to each other for a reason.
It is a compelling love story, and it takes place over generations. We should let people know, too, all the way up to the 80s.
Yeah,
and the AIDS crisis.
Right, exactly. The 60s and the 70s. We watched these two men intersect for decades.
You mentioned it's Matt and Jonathan, who are two openly gay men.
That's correct.
In their real life. How important was it to cast openly gay people in these roles?
And by the end, Jelani Aladdin and Noah Ricketts also play gay men, and Allison Williams is in the show as well. She's not gay. And it was a priority, but not a rule, you know, so that we really wanted to have all of our LGBTQ characters, if we found the right people, played by LGBTQ actors, and we found great actors for the roles, perfectly suited to the roles, who are LGBTQ.
We only have 30 seconds here, but a lot of folks may not realize you wrote Philadelphia.
I did.
30 years ago.
I was very young, Joe.
I was
a child.
Exactly. That has changed. What have you seen change when it comes to that? I mean...
Well, we were the first big Hollywood movie to have a homosexual main character who wasn't, you know, a secret killer. And I think, we were pioneering, and there are things we didn't know. Obviously, we don't quite have that. That's not quite the situation now. So there are more of us on the screen.
All right, fellow travelers, do we have, 2 more episodes left to go to be released still?
7 and 8.
Something,
yep.
all
2
right,
more.
very good. They're coming out on Fridays, streaming on Showtime, and then you can watch on television over the weekend, too.
That's correct.
Right? All right, I think I got that right. Ron, this way, and I'm honored. Thank you so much for joining us, fellow travelers. It is a pleasure having you on.
Thanks.
That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.